Dirt Trax TV is sponsored by Polaris, think outside. Can-Am, follow your path. Yamaha's proven off-road side-by-sides and ATVs, realize your adventure. Team MSC, when you just gotta have the best. Honda Power Sports, power your dreams, whatever the terrain. Arctic Cat, share our passion.
A few months ago, Polaris introduced a new addition to the Ranger lineup. But this time, instead of going to the extreme end like the Ranger XD1500, Polaris targeted buyers looking for a value vehicle that can perform light work duties. Introducing the 2026 Polaris Ranger 500. Now, we've evaluated this Ranger performing some light-duty work tasks, which is exactly what it was designed for. But this is Dirt Trax. You know we're going to take it out on the trails, right? Come on. This Ranger sits just under the Ranger SP570 in the Ranger lineup. And the intention was to offer a barer bones unit with simplified features and without all the extras. Like Polaris says, everything you need and nothing more. Nice tagline, right? Well, when you take a look at what this unit has as its standard features, you'll actually be surprised by how much value Polaris has jammed into this package, especially when you compare it to the next model up. Both the 500 and the SP570 have the same frame and structure, use the same 567cc ProStar single, and are non-EPS. Both feature max struts up front, have the same 25-inch tires, and both have a box capacity of 500 pounds and a towing capacity of 1,500 pounds. However, the Ranger 500 features a standard sun top, nice-looking 12-inch aluminum wheels, and a 2,500-pound winch, standard. And the 570 SP doesn't get any of these extras. You get all these extras for thousands less. That's wild. Like I mentioned earlier, Polaris is targeting buyers looking for a value-priced vehicle that can perform light duties around medium-sized properties or property managers or even landscapers. These customers need a machine with competitive capacities for hauling bags of fertilizer, loose dirt or gravel, hauling bags of leaves out to the curb, or pulling a small trailer or implement. The Ranger 500 comes with a standard 2-inch hitch receiver and can tow up to 1,500 pounds. We hooked up a roughly 700-pound trailer to the back of this unit and pulled it around the property just to see how it performed, and we were impressed. We made sure to test the Ranger out climbing some steeper slopes, and I intentionally left it in high range just to see how it performed, and it climbed nearly effortlessly under load. Its tilting cargo box featuring a double latching tailgate is slightly smaller than the Ranger SP570. However, it has a max capacity of 500 pounds, so it's perfect for loading up topsoil or gravel, wood for the stove, or just tackling those Sunday morning projects you've been putting off all week long. At its heart is a 567cc ProStar single-cylinder engine, key-tuned to a mild but mighty 28 horsepower, and mated to a Polaris CVT for smooth shifting throughout its power band. Its clutching is tuned a touch milder compared to the SP, and its muffler uses more baffling and packing to ensure quieter operation, while still emitting a respectable tune you can be proud of.
This portion of Dirt Trax TV has been brought to you by MBRP Performance Exhaust, built for the victory lap.
The Ranger 500 uses a simplified all-wheel drive system that's rear-wheel driven, and the rear differential can be unlocked using the dash-mounted VersaTrack Turf Mode switch. And when unlocked, each rear wheel spins independently, allowing for tight turns and minimal damage to your lawn, gravel pathways, or sensitive areas. When locked, both rear wheels turn together for better traction. The front wheels are connected through a mechanical limited slip differential, which is always engaged and doesn't require driver input to activate. When the rear wheels lose traction, the front differential automatically transfers torque to the front wheels. Once rear wheel traction is regained, the front wheel drive turns off and goes back to its normal limited slip operation. In all-wheel drive, steering feels a little heavier in the absence of EPS, but handling is still decent. But with the VersaTrack switched on, steering becomes much more light and nimble. In fact, we spent the majority of our day riding with the VersaTrack engaged, even during our trail testing. Now, keep in mind, at 28 horsepower, the Ranger isn't producing mind-bending top speeds. This machine isn't meant for deep mud or for riding whooped-out trail sections. That said, when the work is done for the day, you can still have a pretty good time with this machine. And its always-on all-wheel drive will ensure steady footing. Turn the key and its LED headlights and taillights come on automatically and remain on while the vehicle is in operation, casting a strong light that's perfect for early morning chores or for evening rides. Up front, you'll find McPherson struts delivering 9 inches of travel and a dual A-arm independent rear suspension delivering 10 inches of travel. Both front and rear suspensions are damped by basic steel body shocks with snail cam preload adjustability, and out of the crate, these shocks are set up to ride nice and smooth over properties, lawns, and smoother trails. Gripping the ground are a set of Carlstar 489 tires in a staggered setup, wrapped around these nice looking 12-inch aluminum wheels. These tires provide decent traction for this vehicle's intended purpose. The tread pattern grips when it's supposed to and won't tear your lawn to shreds. There's no stabilizer bars to be found on the Ranger, and we did detect some body roll when cornering. That said, this vehicle isn't intended for aggressive trail riding. And for its work responsibilities, with the bed loaded down, its lack of sway bars made very little impact on its performance. The hood unlocks with these rubber latches and folds forward to reveal a massive storage compartment and access to its radiator and service points. Inside the cab, every single area in the dash has been recessed to make room for an insane amount of storage. I had my gloves, my hat, my phone, sunglasses case, and my sunnies in there all day. And there's even more storage down low and several cup holders as well for your morning venti non-fat extra hot juniper latte. Storage is awesome in this machine. However, there's really no secure spot inside the cab to store your stuff. And I probably wouldn't trust my stuff to stay put in these little storage cubbies down here and feel like they could benefit from some rubber mesh just to keep your stuff from falling out while you're riding. However, these little inlays and what appear to be pre-drilled holes tell me you could probably order a mesh barrier directly through Polaris or from your local dealer. And although not deeply bolstered, the bench seat is supportive and quite comfortable and can capably carry 2 full-grown adults. Plus, the blueback or redback digital instrumentation behind the tilt steering wheel provides all the necessary vehicle data. The 2026 Polaris Ranger 500 proves you don't have to spend a lot of money to get a lot of machine. Its laundry list of value-added accessories and user-friendly features mean it can capably perform light work duties while still providing that fun factor out on the trail. This newest addition to the Ranger family is perfect for property work, landscaping, or weekend trail rides, and offers unmatched value at that sweet spot just shy of 10 grand US. If I could give this Ranger a nickname, I'd call it the Game Show because the price is right.
This portion of Dirt Tracks TV has been brought to you by Suzuki. It's not a quad unless it's a King Quad.
There was a point in time not too long ago that pure sport ATVs dominated the marketplace. Every manufacturer had a stake in the game, offering a 450 class nearly race-ready model, and on Monday mornings, our inboxes were flooded with press releases highlighting details from weekend races. Marketing was almost solely focused on these high-performance machines, and young bucks in their late teens and early 20s with a bit of disposable income or the ability to finance could pick up a unit at a good price and then had the stamina to ride it all day at the local racetrack on their days off. Unfortunately, the combination of economics and environmental regulations decimated the pure sport industry, and those same young fellas were the first ones to lose their jobs and couldn't afford to make payments on their ATVs. Interest in sport quads dried up and manufacturers shifted gears to the demographic that still had some dough, further opening the door to the rise of side-by-sides. Today, those same young dudes are a little older and maybe a bit more financially stable, but they still have that passion deep down in their gut, and they're probably looking to relive those glory days at the track. Now, there's only one manufacturer that's kept its thumb on the pure sport throttle over the years, continuing to refine its pure sport offerings and keep the sport alive. It's been a few years since I've ridden a Pure Sport, probably a few more since I've ridden a YFZ, but I've got a brand new 2026 Yamaha YFZ450R SE in Yamaha's 70th anniversary colors, paying tribute to Yamaha's history and heritage in racing. This might just be one of the highest performance ATVs on the market. Out of the crate, it's race ready for the track, but I want to show you just how much fun these machines can be off the track as well. Its chassis features a weldless frame made from lightweight aluminum that's bolted together rather than welded for maximum durability. And its tension steel bottom frame allows its engine to sit lower for improved mass centralization. Now at the heart of this beast is a titanium valve fuel-injected 449cc engine with a 42mm Mikuni throttle body and a 12-hole injector to maximize power at each squeeze of your thumb. Its 5-speed wet multi-plate assistant slipper clutch makes for light clutch lever effort when shifting and more positive engagement. The slipper clutch is also designed to resist rear wheel lockup under aggressive downshifts. Gear down as you come into corners, getting your butt off the narrow moto-style seat, and squeeze the throttle while you let off the clutch to feel the back end get a little loose and the grin inside your helmet widen. You're feeling like a racer now, aren't you? The double wishbone suspension up front features Kashima-coated KYB piggyback shocks with a threaded preload color and high and low speed compression and rebound adjustability, delivering 9.8 inches of travel. Its narrow A-arm mounting points increase A-arm length and reduce camber, resulting in more predictable control and better stability over rough terrain. The solid rear axle out back features a cast aluminum swing arm and a 46mm fully adjustable KYB piggyback shock, delivering 11 inches of travel. There's nearly limitless tunability in these shocks, and they can be set up to meet your requirements for cross-country, riding in the dunes, or spending the day at the track. Take the time to set these up right, and you'll be feeling like a pro in no time. The YFZ450R features twin piston caliper brakes up front and this wave-style hydraulic disc brake out back that delivers better heat dissipation to prevent brake fade and deliver better braking performance. Its low wide stance looks mega aggressive, and its 48.8-inch width makes this machine feel planted when cornering, giving your confidence that little boost to squeeze the throttle a little harder. And 21-inch Maxxis tires up front and 20-inch rears offer ample traction on the track as well as hard-packed trails. In the saddle, this narrow moto-style seat allows for more mobility while you're riding, so you can get your butt off the seat in the corners. Seat height is almost 32 inches, which for reference is about an inch lower than the Raptor and about 4 inches lower than a Grizzly. Its large diameter tapered handlebar offers plenty of adjustability, and the throttle lever is soft and responsive, reducing thumb fatigue and the risk of cramp up during long rides. And aggressive 2.6-inch wide foot pegs maximize traction while foot shifting and when transitioning from sitting to standing. It should also be noted that US models receive Nerf bars and a bumper shipped separately and installed at your dealer, while Canadian models do not. Our inside sources at Yamaha have told us that Yamaha dealerships have seen a noticeable uptick in demand for pure sport ATVs. And we think that's in response to today's off-road pricing. When you consider you can buy up to 4 YFZ450Rs for the same price as some of the highest end side-by-sides on the market today, it starts to put things into perspective. Are you gonna buy 4 of these units for your family? I don't know, maybe. Maybe you'll mix and match and throw in a Grizzly or a Kodiak or a youth model, but you'll still come in under budget by comparison. Truth is, you can have a ton of fun ripping through the trails on one of these. Or take the whole crew out to the track to relive your glory days and show them how Dad used to do it. Plus, it'll fit right in the back of your pickup, so no need to buy a 20-foot hauler. Just tie her down real tight in the bed and head out. There's a lot to like about this machine and sport quads in general, but what are the downsides? Without question, riding a pure sport requires a degree of athleticism, and it's not a CVT, so a 5-speed clutch takes some skill to master. Also, if you're thinking this will do everything your Grizzly will do, think again. This is a high-performance ATV and does not deliver the plushness or available EPS a Sport Ute has. Plus, its low ground clearance may not cut it if you expect to take it on really aggressive trails, which could result in damage to the chain, sprocket, or rear disc brake. If you haven't already, we suggest you keep these things in mind before you pull the trigger on a pure sport quad. That said, its relatively short list of tech features and fairly straightforward maintenance checklist means it'll bounce back ride after ride and be ready for the next round of abuse. The 2026 Yamaha YFZ450R SE celebrates the golden era of pure sport ATVs, and for riders who used to dream of standing on the podium one day, it reignites that thrill all over again. Whether you're carving berms, ripping trails, or just trying to prove to yourself that you still got it, the YFZ450R SE speaks to riders who once lived for the weekends at the track and now have the means to do it the right way.
Dirt Tracks TV has been sponsored by Yamaha, revs your heart. Honda, life is better on a Honda. ITP, innovation, traction, performance. Fast HD, roam fearlessly. Kawasaki. Let the good times roll.
It's been a long time since I've had the opportunity to test a new Arctic Cat ATV, and I'm not gonna lie, the fact that I had so little experience with them was really bugging me. Today, that all changes. For the first time in many years, I have a brand new Arctic Cat ATV sitting here, an Alterra 600 Limited to be exact, and after testing it, I have a lot of thoughts. Before I get into that though, let's talk about the Alterra 600 itself. This is a really good looking ATV. There are 3 models available, the 600 EPS, the 600 Limited, and the 600 Mud Pro. The EPS model only comes in green, whereas the Limited comes in black, tungsten, or camo, and the Mud Pro only comes in black. Also available are 2 2-up models, the base 600 TRV EPS and the 600 TRV Limited. They all have the same 597cc EFI single-cylinder engine under the hood that produces a class-leading 45 horsepower. CV Tech takes care of the clutches. The rear diff is locked at all times. The front diff is open when you shift into 4x4, but can be electronically locked as well. A high-low neutral reverse transmission also includes park and is located on the right side by your knee. Shifting is smooth, but the detents aren't overly positive, so you have to be precise when you shift. Double A-arms at all 4 corners with arched lowers offer up 8.75 inches of travel, which is right in line with the rest of its competition. Basic steel-bodied preload adjustable shocks damp each corner, and one of the more unique things about the Alterra 600 is its complete lack of sway bars. Arctic Cat ATVs have always come without sway bars, and their absence offers both positive and negative results. One of the positives is 12.25 inches of ground clearance. A 2-inch hitch receiver allows you to tow up to 1,050 pounds. A basic gauge has all the info you need, and plastic over steel racks are definitely tough. The Limited model comes with 27-inch tires on 14-inch aluminum wheels, LED accent lights in the otherwise halogen headlights, and Arctic Cat's ultimate front bumper. A 3,500-pound Warn winch with steel cable is standard equipment on all Alterra 600 models. When you're seated on the Alterra 600, you feel like you're sitting on top of it versus down inside of it like you do on a CF Moto or a Polaris. Now, it's not a bad feeling. It's actually a lot like a Grizzly. The cockpit isn't flashy, it's pretty basic and to the point, but everything you need is right there in front of you. The seat is excellent and the whole ATV feels comfortable. The fenders offer impressive mud and water protection despite the footwells having large spaces. The Alterra 600's engine feels strong. It revs fast and pulls hard. The CV Tech clutches do a great job and shift really smooth. Throttle response is also fantastic because it's a cable throttle. While this means that it can't have multiple throttle modes, the feeling of a proper cable throttle is something that simply can't be replicated. Arctic Cat's EPS system offers light steering and filters out unwanted feedback when the trail's really technical. Now, I don't know if the EPS is dynamic or if it's linear, but I do feel that there's too much assist at higher trail speeds, resulting in a twitchy steering feel. I think the front suspension geometry adds to this feeling, but only at higher speeds. At normal trail speeds and in really tight slow speed scenarios, the Alterra handles well. Another thing that has a huge effect on the handling of the Alterra 600, and I mentioned this earlier, is its lack of sway bars. This also has a big effect on ride quality. When a vehicle enters a corner, the weight of the vehicle is shifted to the outside of the corner and in turn onto that side's suspension. With no sway bar and soft suspension, the body of any vehicle will roll to the outside. How much depends on the sharpness of the corner, the speed of the vehicle, and the length of suspension travel. In the most basic terms possible, a sway bar effectively shifts some of the weight of the vehicle to the suspension on the inside of the corner. Now, this helps keep the chassis flat, which makes the whole vehicle feel more stable. Without sway bars, the only way to resist excessive body roll in the corners is to stiffen up the spring so the suspension can't collapse. However, this will also result in a harsher ride, especially on smaller bumps, and the suspension rebounding harder after it compresses. The compromise between keeping the ATV flat in the corners while also maintaining decent ride quality is the balance that Arctic Cat has tried to find with the Alterra. And I think they've done an admirable job. It doesn't ride as smooth or feel as plush as its competition, and it definitely has more body roll in the corners than if it did have sway bars. But one of the benefits of not having them is that the suspension can articulate freely on all 4 corners. And this is very noticeable when you're crawling through really rough, uneven terrain like rocks, ruts, or roots. In situations like these, Arctic Cat ATVs, the Alterra 600 included, have always been really impressive. You can feel the suspension compressing independently on each corner. In these conditions, the lack of sway bars actually keeps the chassis flat. It's the complete opposite of what happens in higher speed corners. So what's the verdict here? Is the lack of sway bars a good thing or a bad thing? And this actually brings me to my final thoughts. The Alterra 600 is very good at what it's good at, and it's not terrible at what it's not good at, which is a complicated way of saying that as long as your riding style is in line with its strengths, it's going to perform really well for you. It's not a high-speed trail ripper that likes to get sideways in the corners. It's good on the trail at speeds most trail riders actually ride at, and it's excellent when things get tight and gnarly. So if tight and gnarly is your style, then there's no question in my mind you absolutely have to give Arctic Cat's 2026 Alterra 600 a serious look.
Make sure to subscribe and comment below for real interaction with the Dirt Trax crew.